joining us for a conversation, and I'm here, of course, with Sweetie Abochi, and we're also joined by Kofi Tonto, his political aide to former Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and we also have David Von D. He's MP, Member of Parliament for Twifu Atimokwa. He joins the conversation as well. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Well, we'll give you each a minute, 2 minutes at most, to walk us through any reflections you may have on national issues. It could be personal, professional, anything. 2 minutes, walk us through the trail of thoughts. Let me start with you, Kofi Tonto.
Well, for me, last week really brought to bear, the work we do as politicians and the exigencies of same. Our work can be very dangerous at times. Last week, I went to a radio program, and I expressed my views on Sam George and his vetting. I expressed my views, especially on his confession that he was the person who encouraged people to go to PMMC's assay lab and etc., and the implications of same. Only to come back to my Facebook and see death threats on my life and all of that. Oh, yeah. People sending me messages that they will kill me for expressing my views. So it goes to tell you how divisive our society really is becoming. But I'm grateful to God. I just have to be careful and make sure that I
what
order my steps.
What did you say, though, that, could cause such reactions?
Oh, all that I said was to explain the implications of that decision. Because, for example, if people storm illegally and criminally storm the premises of PMMC, one, it affects businesses. BOG had about 17 boxes of gold worth about 327 kilos of gold. A private company also had their gold, and they couldn't export the gold because of that commotion. What it means is that BOG couldn't fulfill its obligations to its partners outside. It contributed to the near fuel shortage that we had in Ghana. About 3-4 weeks ago, we almost had a fuel shortage.
So this is what you said?
This is what I said.
You just explained the
implications, yes.
Ah, interesting.
So...
Have you reported to the police?
I'll do so. So. This happened on Friday. I'll do so. Just to make sure I protect myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I hope the police comes to your aid so nothing happens to you.
Yeah.
Mr. Von D.
Yeah.
What would be your take?
Well, good morning to our viewers. It's been a while that I've been here. After the elections, I think it's been one, activity or the other. We're swearing in our nominees and vetting, because I think most of them have been vetted already. I think the 40 of them that have been appointed by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Very good job there. Fulfilling our promises of appointing our cabinet ministers within the first 14 days of his election and swearing in as President of the Republic of Ghana. So much fulfilled. And many more are coming. Again, another, takeaway was what happened in Parliament where, the appointment committee would have to resort to some, physical confrontations and distractions of, and I thought that it was my takeaway, and I think that they should be able to manage themselves well. I don't know why you allow one person to be vetted for more than 5 hours, and then you come and you vet another person less than 30 minutes, and so forth and so on. I think that these are matured people. They should be able to, allocate their time properly. If you're going to go give one person, 2 hours, 1 hour, it should be same to all of them, and stop this brouhaha, because I understand that what brought the issue was about the fact that, okay, we're tired, we don't want to go on vetting, it's late, and somebody says, okay, but you vetted one particular nominee more than 5 hours, so why would you say you're tired? We have time to, schedules and to meet, and so
but
we're
would
going to
you
go
agree,
on.
though, that some of these nominees, the mandate, the work ahead of them, or should I say the ministries that they've been appointed to man, requires a more thorough line of questioning and all that compared to some others?
I have no
For
problem
example,
whatsoever.
The 5 hours we're talking about,
Yep.
you're referring to Sam George, right? Or Kudeto
Sam
Ablakwa.
George, Kudeto Ablakwa,
Those
you know?
ministries are huge, are they not?
I mean, they are huge. All other ministries are huge.
Well.
And so I think that, time management is their problem. And once they're able to deal with the time management, I'm sure they will be able to,
Okay.
So for me, so far so good. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, his appointments are really on point. I mean, I've not seen any individual that have been appointed to any of the ministries that anybody is raising issues about. That tells us that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is in and to deliver on his promises, and that's, for me, the best things that happened within the week, and my takeaways as well.
Then any follow-ups, should we go to the papers?
Just quickly on the vetting bit and then Kofi Tonto's issue. I'll keep saying that it makes... I have to be careful with my words. I have to be more... It's not that I can't use them. I think I just want to be more friendly. Some of the vetting and the time we spend on them, let's just put it mildly, some of the questions are unnecessary. And some necessary questions that should also be asked are sometimes not asked.
Absolutely.
I feel the majority would usually just pamper the person through because, yeah, it's our appointee. Yes, be mild, but also be asked questions that bring something out of the person. And the minority sometimes, look, some of the questions are just frivolous. I have cited what happens in the US and other places. I don't think we need to do this. Like, I've forgotten who sat here and we had this discussion. 1 hour, 30 minutes maximum. Someone should be cleared. If it's someone who has a lot to answer, 2 hours maximum. What are we vetting people for 6 hours, 5 hours for? Makes no sense to me. Kofi, it's sad that you are getting threatened. I have been threatened in the past many times. And when I say in the past, I'm sure you understand.
No, I don't.
It's good that you have sought, well, I want to believe you do. It's good that you've sought police protection.
No, I haven't yet.
But,
I'll go there.
Oh, you're going there today. Yeah. Yes. We don't have the benefit of what you said that triggered this. You are saying what you are saying. We don't have the benefit of having listened to. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, that's
okay.
That's
but it doesn't justify someone threatening you in any way. My only hope is that political actors will learn that what reflects on the goose will reflect on the gander, and that threatening people in the past, if you are threatened in the future, we must just bring this thing to a cessation. Because I remember this morning, and pardon me, Ahmed Hussein Swale, and what happened to him.
Yep.
Someone threatened, and it ended up there. So let's avoid some of these things moving forward. But please speak to the police so that your security can be.
But I can assure you, I mean, I'm sure I've gone on interviews with Vondi several times, and people know the type of politics I mean,
you are pretty mild. You don't, so I don't know what could have triggered
exactly.
something.
So
like
I stated what the facts were, and the fact that such commentary and the implications, and I explained what the implications were, and the fact that Sam George, for admitting to criminality, for me, was unfit to continue in the role.
I think one other thing you should do, was it on social media? Or were you sent a direct message? Was it Facebook?
Oh, no, on Facebook, yeah.
So these things, we must also let the police get down to the bottom of the accounts holders.
Yes, yeah. You know, interestingly, when he sent the message, then he immediately disabled the message. So by the time I saw the message and tried to click on his page, etc., he had...
But did you at least see a name?
No, I did.
You saw the name?
I'm sure the police should be able to
forensic,
do some work and identify the person.
I don't know whether you would want me to say something about that.
Well, let me...
Briefly, just briefly. I think that we've come a long way. These political attacks and on our persons and people who express their views in this democracy must stop. I don't think it is benefits to anybody, you know, when you come on radio, television, and you express your view, and people would have to attack you, call you all kind of names. And I've gone through that myself, you know. And I think that it must stop. It doesn't matter where the political device you're coming from. We're Ghanaians, and that's what we must respect. You know, this is politics. You're not going to hold power forever. You should know. And so it's important that we treat each other as Ghanaians first before any other thing. So these political attacks, calling and threatening and all that, I mean, this young man, very young man who is minding his business, only making comment and statement, you know, I don't think that that's what His Excellency John Dramani Mahama needs. Right. And I don't think His Excellency John Dramani Mahama will send anybody go around threatening people.
Okay.
Oh, no,
so these things must stop. This must stop.
Right.
It is not good, and it's not painting any good image of our government.
Okay,
and
thank you.
Very quickly,
let's get into
put it on record that I'm never saying that Sam George is involved in this.
Not at all. I agree with you.
So I just want to put it.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
So the Ghanaian Times carries a story that makes me happy, or I should just wait, hold my horses. Arrest, prosecute illegal miners. President Mahama directs 3 ministers to take action. We sat here and we've spoken at length about how, you know, first, that's, you know, there was no Galamsey in the speech. We heard Erastus Asare Donko narrate how some known NDC sympathizers have laid siege to some of the forests. So it's good that the president is actually coming out clearly to say that arrest, prosecute illegal miners. And I'll get into that story in a bit. On the front page, we also have NDC Pro Forum supporter Blakwa to advance Ghana's global agenda. Don't keep LPG cylinders indoors. NPA cautions. That is Mr. Edujita Maklo, the new NPA boss. And a disclaimer, the Ghanaian Times' attention has been drawn to a fake headline. Sierra Leone's High Commissioner to Ghana has been apprehended in Accra while allegedly in possession of cocaine. Oh, wow. Superimposed on its lead story headline. So they're saying this is not from them. Quickly, let's run through the stories. I want to start from Galamsey. President John Dramani Mahama has directed Ministers of Land and Natural Resources, Interior and Attorney General and Minister of Justice to arrest and prosecute any person or group of persons engaged in illegal mining anywhere in the country. Similarly, the government, President Mahama said, has not issued any lease to anyone to mine in any forest in the country, and any person found engaged in the act must be dealt with in accordance with the law. Quote, let me state categorically that this government has not given any person or group of persons any authority to carry out any form of mining in forest reserves, as recently reported. So that's what the President, John Dramani Mahama, is saying. And he's tasked the Ministers of Land and Natural Resources, Interior, and the Attorney General to take swift action against these illegal miners. Now, there are 2 more stories, and I'll come to you, gentlemen. Committee to investigate ECG procurement set up. The Minister of Energy and Green Transition, Mr. John Abdullahi Jinapor, on Friday, inaugurated a 5-member investigative committee at the Electricity Company of Ghana to oversee all procurement practices. Now, according to the minister, the move is aimed at addressing the inefficiencies and alleged malpractices that have led to significant financial losses to the company and the energy sector in general. And then there's a story coming from Parliament. That's the last one I'll do in the Ghanaian Times newspaper. 7-member committee set up to investigate appointments committee disturbances. We just spoke about it, but the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has constituted a 7-member special committee to investigate the violent altercation that erupted during the appointment committee sitting last Thursday. And the committee has been given 10 days to submit its findings and recommendations. Don't forget that he's gone ahead to suspend those 4 members of parliament, that is Roxanne Nelson Dapiamakbo, Jerry Ahmed Shaib, Frank Anodompre, and Al-Hassan Suleiman Atampuli. But in a related story, the Minority Caucus rejects suspension of members. It's also here in the newspaper, page 9. It says the Minority Caucus in Parliament has rejected the suspension of 3 of its members following the altercation that erupted at the Appointments Committee sitting on Thursday. It urged the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, to exercise restraint and ensure that disciplinary measures are applied fairly and in accordance with parliamentary rules. And they're not the only ones who are questioning the Speaker's authority to do that. But, gentlemen, let me start with you, Mr. Vondi. What do you make of these stories? First, Galamsey, what the President is saying, then Alban Bagbin's suspension of those 4 members of parliament and the Minority Caucus's rejection of that, and then the 5-member committee set up to investigate inefficiencies at ECG.
Thank you very much. I don't know where to start from, but I think that the Galamsey issues are issues that are very dear to my heart, because I'm coming from a constituency where, I mean, we're not exempted from these Galamsey things. You know, you see young men and women, you know, in very, very odd areas, which of course they are not supposed to be at the riverside, the river, you know, River Pra, you know, and they kind of, I think I had a conversation with the police commander in my constituency, I think last week, to kind of try and go and deal with the matters. And so it's a good call from His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. We're not saying that Ghanaians should not mine. That's not what we're saying. We're saying that you must engage in legal mining. The illegal mining is actually degrading our forest, destroying our land, and I mean, today water is very expensive, more than fuel, if you look at it properly. Very soon there will be no water for us to drink at all, and I don't think it's a good thing. Yes, we want to make money. Young men and women want to make money, but that's not how to make money. And so for me, the call for the security agencies to rise and do their work and to arrest those perpetrators, for me, it's a good call for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. It is my prayer and hope that we won't see what we saw. And it was some of the reasons why Nanado's government would have to come to a halt. It was the reason why Ghanaians would have to reject them in that huge manner. And so for me, it is important we don't repeat the mistakes of the past government, where individuals that belong to the government, you know, are mining in various forests, reserves, and water bodies. You see chairmen of the party coming on TV displaying the golds that they mine in I mean, it was odd. So for me, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama's call, we must all listen and walk out of it and not engage ourselves in this illegal mining. Look,
so that's on Galamsey?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's move on to that.
And maybe before we move on, odd as it is, it's even more odd that such people walk free.
Absolutely.
And that there are no ways of legally dealing with them. Well, getting to the bottom of how you sourced this gold and all of that. But as we talk about illegalities, the Alwyn MP, who is a member of your party, has also come into the picture in recent times. Even traditional leaders, rulers, are calling on, you know, for some action to be brought to bear on him. We've not heard anything. How about that?
Well, I am in oblivion to that story. I don't know about that. But if it's about gold mining and all that, I agree with you.
Illegal mining.
I agree with you that those that have, you know, trained gold, you know, to our faces on television and all that, they must be questioned. But I can tell you that all those things will be done. We're barely 1 month in government. And so I think that we're still setting up our government. Ministers are now being appointed and so forth and so on. It will be too hard on His Excellency John Dramani Mahama if we're, you know, picking him on all these things now. So let's allow him. I'm sure that, and I trust him, he will do what he's supposed to do. Now, the ECG, we've said this thing when in opposition, that there have been a lot of malfeasance that we thought had happened in the ECG. It would be very unfair if we do not investigate, now that we're in government, to let Ghanaians know that what we're talking about all this while, there is some level of merit in it or not. So for me, I applaud the minister. John should go ahead, and also want to caution the committee that have been set up to investigate all these matters to do a good job. You know, for me, I think we will succeed. The beginning of our government tells you that we're serious about solving Ghanaians' problem. You know, look at the number of days that we've been in government and the things that we're doing. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is doing. His appointees are not leaving any stone unturned at all. For me, it tells you that we're doing well. Of course, Edwiji Tamaklo is my very good brother, my friend, my personal lawyer. You know, so I know him. He would deliver. He would deliver. And then the LPG cylinder and the product itself is really expensive. Now, when I was coming, I was listening to your news on Joy News that, you know, prices of gas is going to go up by, I think, about 4%. And then the oil, you know, petrol, 1.9, diesel. I mean, for me, these are some of the areas we'd have to pay attention to, you know, going forward. But hey, we're too young in government to be bashed.
You are not too young
I
to be
mean,
bashed.
so
Kofi,
we're still setting up our
Right.
government,
Okay.
and then we'll get there.
Hold for us, Kofi.
You know what's interesting is that when they took over the affairs of the nation, proponents of the government and then allies of the government started making commentary. You know, this government is too young. If you didn't say anything before, don't talk, etc. Look, some of us have taken the decision that we will not be a destructive opposition and just criticize for criticizing's sake. And that's why, for me, I've openly said that I want President Mahama to succeed. Because President Mahama succeeding does not mean that the MPP cannot come back to power. Ghanaians can still say that, irrespective of his success, we want a new direction, we want a new way of doing things, we want someone with new ideas, fresh solutions, and therefore we'll go with the MPP. So we don't necessarily have to wish for Mahama to fail for us to come to power. But that's not to say that we are not going to criticize you. We'll criticize you constructively and hold your feet to the fire. So this whole thing about it's been a few days, so we should allow you. Look, what happened in Obuasi? Should we allow for 1 year before we criticize it? That we've lost lives? I mean, that your party hooligans went into a mine illegally? We will condemn it. But that's not to...
have any evidence to suggest it's our party hooligans who went there.
Well,
I don't
my
think so.
evidence is that your party leaders went there to commensurate with the dead, the families of the dead.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, but why would they go there? And they went there admitting that these were our party people. This is not a matter of debate. So let's not even go there.
Did they admit that these were their people?
Of course, they did.
Maybe I missed that.
Oh, yeah.
because I haven't-
Joseph Yamin went there.
Okay.
The
No,
chairman-
I know the people who went there. They
but
just say
if
that
you
these are
watch the
people.
video, they admitted in the video that these were our men, but we shouldn't act irresponsibly because our boys are dead.
No,
they said
so
that.
this is a matter of life and death. You'd have to be careful.
Right.
No,
what's
no,
It's okay.
please.
So please, let's
I wouldn't.
You don't
I wouldn't.
attribute
I wouldn't
murder
sit
to
here.
people who really don't have any idea.
No, I
about
haven't
it.
attributed
Yeah,
murder to
so
anybody.
please,
How
What
did
he's
I?
saying is that we shouldn't wait a year to condemn the things we saw happen. in
Yeah, I
Obuasi.
haven't
When
made
you
any
mentioned
But then
it
attribution.
when
was
you
our
say the
party
party,
hooligans,
yes, that's where
who
you have
went.
a-
I mean,
it's
I
okay,
thought
let's
that
move forward.
we should
No,
be
but that's a
careful with
fact.
those
That's a
ones.
Let's
fact.
move on.
And
Please.
we also have a video of your party people saying that when you come to power, you are also going to appropriate lands, etc., for yourselves, so you can go and mine. You know, we shouldn't wait a year to condemn these things, Vondi. That's a fact. You rode on the back of illegal mining to come into power. So you don't come into power and tell us, give us 2 weeks or
Right,
give us
but
4
that's
months.
on Galamsey. I'm
Yeah.
curious to know what your thoughts are on, minority
Oh, but I
rejecting
didn't finish
this
the
figures.
Galamsey.
Okay, please.
But
Make it brief
you
for me.
see, I just want to be very objective on the Galamsey issue. The Galamsey issue is not an easy fight. So I expect President Mahama to fight it. But I'm also objective because I know how difficult it is. Look, somebody who is mining with an appropriate size of land can make about 4 kilos or 2 kilos a week. Let's even say 2 kilos a week. That's 160,000 United States dollars times 4. How much is that?
So that's the difficulty.
That's the money involved. And I kept saying it when we were in power. Like, look, this is a money issue. If somebody is making $500,000 a month, some $1 million a week, depending on the size, it's not easy fighting that fight. So I don't expect it to be easy for President Mahama. Reality will dawn on them very soon. But we will hold their feet to the fire. But we wish them well. On the committee, my sister, it's almost becoming like this government is a committee abine. Oh, yes. 1 week, one committee. I mean, you just stated about 3 committees here. John Jinapo has a committee.
Politicians.
Sami Jenfi has a committee.
Politicians.
President Mahama has appointed a committee to organize. Look, not a committee to even do the activity, to organize the activity. a committee to organize economic forum, a committee to organize education
What's so wrong
forum.
with it?
No, my point is we voted for them to think and solve our solution. We didn't vote for them to set up committees.
Are these not people who've been handpicked because they have the expertise?
When you were voting, were you voting for committees or you were voting for President Mahama to solve?
How does Mahama solve problems?
I'm sorry,
without
that's a low
setting up
belt too.
committees?
Just a quick one.
Yeah.
What are the committees supposed to do?
I just told you that the committees are to set up other activities. I just gave you an example of one committee.
The Gold Board Committee, what is it supposed to do?
The Gold Board Committee, they set out to more or less come up with an act on what the Gold Board is going to do. When you read what Sami Jenfi said,
right,
that they are going to
streamline some activities in the
but I mean, look,
wait.
We can even
let's take this.
We can even go into the Gold Board
bit by bit.
because I was the board secretary for PMMC,
right?
So I know that area very well. We can go into it,
right?
Yeah, so that's not an issue. Yeah.
You think what they are going to do is irrelevant?
No, I haven't said that.
So
I'm saying that there are even duplications, but I want to see ultimately the document they come up with.
I don't
For
like,
example, no,
I don't
you see,
like
by law, PMMC is the national assayer. So if you tell me that you are going to set up a Gold Board to become the national assayer, are you going to do away with PMMC, for example? Because by law, PMMC is the national assayer.
Right.
By law, PMMC is the national agency that is responsible for giving export license, etc. You said the Gold Board is going to do all of these things.
I will not
so
claim
there are questions.
I will not claim to
Yeah.
know or want to know what direction the PMMC and the Gold Board will take. But if we want to talk about duplications, we could go back in the past and look at numerous duplications.
That's fine.
Under your
And that's why Ghanaians voted.
And I don't like to
against the
equalize.
MPP.
But I'm saying, all I'm trying to say is, you are saying people did not vote for this government to set up committees, right? We've never done that. Nobody votes for, but when you vote for an administration, committees will be set up to do certain work, like you did during your tenure. So is it fair to sit here and say that 1 week, one committee? If we want to go down that road, I don't think you would survive.
You see, my brother, here's the thing. You can go down that route. The bottom line is that you, for instance, sat here on this platform and criticized the decisions of the government that you felt were irresponsible, were inappropriate, or inefficient. And Ghanaians took the decision that we were not satisfied. So we can no longer compare what the MPP did and what this government is doing. In fact, we were told not to compare. You remember? We were told that we shouldn't compare ourselves to Mahama. My point is this. We voted for them to come into power to solve our problems. I am saying every week we are coming up with one committee. Look, you tell me that you have oral. No, I'm coming. You tell me that you have oral, which is supposed to identify all the corrupt activities in MPP's government.
Please conclude your thoughts.
I'm concluding. You set up oral to do that. And now you are telling me you have set up another committee to do the very same work that you've set up oral to do. What are you telling me? So I have every right to ask, why do we have so many committees? I have every right to ask that question.
Okay. This is what well, it's not about me. Ben, let's do some other stories. I just thought that these committees, I mean, a new government, a new administration, right?
Yes.
Just assumed responsibility, office, all that for the state. You just mentioned that you were the something secretary of PMMC.
Yeah,
board secretary. You're coming from the other party, NPP. Yeah. This man, Mr. President, is handpicking people who he believes has the expertise, right, to understand what's going on wrong in these state institutions and then figure out how we can move forward. That's why I think we have all these committees. Are you saying that we have too many committees and the committees are just, redundancies? There's nothing really that they're doing?
I've given you evidence of duplication.
Which is?
I have told you that the president set up oral to quote unquote.
To gather information.
Go into all agencies and private lives. Even now the oral is flying drones over people's private homes, etc. The point is, if oral is going to find out all this information and you set up another committee to also find the same information.
These committees are not permanent. I guess is the point I'm trying to make.
Of course. Most committees are not.
This new administration taking off.
Of course, right? Most committees are not permanent. But if you have Ministry of Education and you set up a committee to organize a forum on education, are you telling me that Ministry of Education cannot organize a forum?
Okay. Let's do some other papers now.
Are you telling me Ministry of Finance cannot organize a forum on the economy?
Let's do your papers.
Okay, so we have Bagbin strikes, suspend 4 MPs over appointment committee disturbances. Then we have Mahama promotes good governance and accountability. Then we have...
So Vondi is very excited.
Very, very excited.
Yes, I have to be excited.
Since he won power, the way
I think the government is going on the right direction. Things are working. Government is going on the right direction, so you have to be excited. I mean, the committees, more of them will be coming because it's good for Ghana, and we're going to put our heads together, and we're not going to do things unilaterally. We're going to do it together, and it's going to be fine. Minority blast, Bagbin over stiffening opposition voice illegally, and I don't think that is fair. Bagbin is not doing anything, he's just doing the right thing. Mahama pledges support for Africa, prosperity dialogues. Yes, and then Ablakwa adopts Bawumia's idea. I mean, that got to do with the digitization of passport application and so forth and so on. That is the papers I have now with me. Exceptional track record of Dr. Esiama, the new Bank of Ghana boss, Bank of Ghana governor. And I think Dr. Esiama in opposition, he was part of those of us who criticized things like taking away people's licenses in the banking sector. And now that he's given the opportunity, I'm sure that those that are deserving of their licenses being restored, he was going to do that because it's a way of killing jobs in the banking sector. And so for me, I have said a million times that this banking sector thing, we can create segregations. People who would want to go into a very, big commercial banking should have their licenses and their cut point where they should have their capital, those who want to be in the middle class. And then those who are doing the low, very low one, taking care of the SMEs and so forth and so on. And so it's a good thing, I believe, and I wish him well. And I believe that the gentleman is going to deliver, knowing that my own boss, Dr. Atu Forson, who is the finance minister now, I was with him last week, and you can see the gentleman is really working. I think that our banking sector is going to be revived, and we're going to see our CD gaining some very good strength very soon, and the economy is going to be doing well very soon. And I have no doubt whatsoever about the people, the kind of individuals that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is appointing. This is just one of them.
Right.
And so forth and so on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was what paper was that?
That was
the News Center.
The News Center.
Let's do the Daily Searchlight.
Yeah, the Daily Searchlight talks about President Mahama nominates Dr. Johnson Esiama as BOG governor. He was one of the people who were cleared by the Attorney General. We are yet to really find out why, but I'm sure with time we'll find out. Free SHS...
If you make such a point, you are subtly pointing, accusing. That's what you are suggesting. So what is it that you are suggesting? You might as well go out and spill. Do you have any evidence?
No. I'm saying that he was cleared by the Attorney General. I mean, that's a fact. Is that not
That's
so?
a pure mischief.
Yes. Yeah, he was cleared. And I'm saying that we are yet to see a paper or some document from the government on why he was cleared. At least it's important that the Ghanaian is educated on the reasons. That is all. I've not impugned any ill motive. I'm just asking a question. So
your concern is why he was cleared?
Yes, we ought to know.
Okay, right.
Because there is evidence as to why he was in court. So we need to know why that evidence or the state feels that it doesn't want to prosecute
the Attorney General just feel that those evidence are irrelevant and will not make any sense prosecuting them.
Wow, he cannot just feel like evidence is irrelevant.
That's what it is. So we just have to move on.
No, you can come back again. I mean, you can state what you want to say,
what I'm
but you
saying
cannot
is
say that the Attorney General just feels that some evidence.
The Attorney General doesn't work on feelings.
Yeah,
it's not about
Attorney General.
It's about evidence before.
Attorney General, the evidence before him, the evidence before Attorney General.
Right.
Dr. Yeni believes that, I mean, prosecuting the man on those evidence, he was not going to get any favorable, prosecution or judgment, and so he felt that the state would want to.
He felt.
Are you saying that there was not enough evidence to hold this man or keep the courts trying
according to the state prosecutor, Attorney General, the evidence before him, he will not be able to go to court with those evidence.
But you see the wisdom in him, insinuating or just stating that we don't know why he's been cleared. So
if everybody is entitled to having information. So if he feels that the information explanation be given, I don't have any.
But this is nothing to
at all.
It's not a bone to pick, because usually when an Attorney General gives such or makes such decisions, there are reasons, and the reasoning can be easily found. There shouldn't be a problem in respect of why. We could go back to what's his name, Atu Essien's issue, for example, and how some felt a long time ago he should have been indicted. And why we waited years until eventually it was done. So these are issues that, whether this way or that, if there's prima facie evidence, you can go back and look at what's happened with Dr. Opuni. Why has he been cleared now? After how many years was he?
He's also another person.
So I mean, these are issues that
so far they've been excellent at being clearing agents, but that's another matter that.
No, we are serious on this table. I don't understand what clearing agents are in this matter.
In a matter of 2 weeks, Opuni gone, your former chairman and Kwaku Buahinin.
Is this Sami Photo you are speaking of?
Yes, I forgot.
But let me ask you though, all of these cases that you mentioned, especially with Dr. Opuni, how long did it last? If there was something really to pin them on, do you realize how long Dr. Opuni's trial lasted without
you see, Dr. Opuni's
any
case,
result?
Dr. Opuni's case was not a very straightforward case, and that he was not just sitting there; he was also taking legal actions. In some instances, he will even question the objectivity or the objective nature of the judge, etc.
This is someone who was in court, the consequences of which he could end up in jail. Were you expecting him to just sit there?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that let's not create the impression that there was a straightforward case that sat there for 7 years. No, it wasn't.
No matter how winding this case was. 7 years? You could
my brother,
not,
there are cases in court more than 7 years. That doesn't warrant clearing
on this matter. If you have a watertight case against someone, especially when you would go to the Ghana Standards Authority, the FDA, and there would be cases of tests being conducted and supposedly powder being tested instead of liquid and all of that. How are you going to win the case?
You see, my brother, I am not a lawyer.
Anyway, it's your opinion.
I am not a lawyer. I am saying that, the initial comment that I made was that if the Attorney General is going to clear individuals, the least he can do is to offer Ghanaians the basis for doing that. Then we can establish that, Opuni was treated unfairly. I'm okay. But if you just clear individuals, Sami Photo, Kwaku Buahini, and all these people, and you don't tell us anything, I have every right to speculate as a Ghanaian. So if he wants to clear my doubts, he can go ahead and educate me on the basis for which he cleared these.
You could also
otherwise, for me, in my mind, you clear someone and a week later you appoint
let's make tracks. But the point is, if you want that
no, you clear somebody and a week later the person is the governor.
You can also petition to seek that information.
No,
so would you take it on?
My brother, my point. I may. My point is, you clear somebody and a week later the person is appointed the governor. You don't think I have a right to ask?
I don't think anybody here is saying you don't have a right.
Questioning your right.
Suggesting
but you were talking about feelings.
I'm actually suggesting to you to petition for the information.
Right. Okay, well, no problem.
Again, for me, I don't even know the position of the law as to whether the Attorney General,
already stated
Attorney General should be going around explaining why he had
the position is feelings.
Hold on.
That's what you said.
Hold on.
You said the position is feelings.
The elections are over. I'm sure the propaganda would have to stop. Let's face the
reality.
But
you said feelings.
All right. Let's with more stories.
Were
you done with your paper? Were you done with your paper?
No, he's done. I'm the one. I'm the one.
Okay, so Kofi, let's make.
Free SHS is going. It's a question mark. And as Mahama sets up a National Education Forum, we hope to see what comes out of it.
Which paper is that?
The Daily Searchlight.
Okay.
Yeah. Ghana to host Investment Trade Week in July. More than 150 businesses to attend. Driver 70 kills physically challenged shoemaker in tragic accident. Confusion over. GNA ISD says that as Kwache Ofosu drop hints about nebulous government communication office. You know, I was an ISD officer at some point as the head of information at Ghana's embassy in Washington. You fall under ISD. So I'm very interested in this subject. I want to know what comes out of it. And then it talks about $1 trades at 15 cedis and 90 pesos on forest bureaus. Talks about Canada imposes 25% tariff in trade war with the US.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ben?
I have some interesting stories on the Ghanaian publisher. Minority derides Bagben's suspension order. I met someone, I think, yesterday, and regardless of whether the order is valid or not, I think it was a huge disgrace. I was very unhappy when I saw the BBC and other, Reuters and others picking up the. Picking up the story, and I don't know how sometimes our members of parliament think from both sides, because like I said in my blunt thoughts last week, it could have been avoided. The majority could have decided to act in a certain way. The minority could have decided to act in a certain way. I feel particularly sad, though, about the clerk to parliament and how the minority leader addressed it. I don't feel, while I like part of his style, dislike part of his style, I feel the way the matter was handled could have been. People are entitled to their political opinions if they are doing their work and it's right. I don't feel it was nice the way he singled her out. Mahama backs prosperity dialogues, calls for urgent action on trade. J.B. Dankwa demonized and vilified, but is still relevant today. Kwadwo Afare writes, I find it interesting how when a certain party is in power, you will be talking in Nkrumah. When another party is in power, you will be talking J.B. Dankwa. These are statesmen, both of them. They came, they did what they did. They played their part to bring us to where we are. We celebrate them, and that's it. Then there's the Daily Analyst. I don't have enough time to get into my story, so I'll just leave it with the headlines. Mahama sets up committee to plan National Education Forum. Do not keep filled LPG cylinders indoors, NPA urges. And I keep mine outdoors. Yeah? It's keep them outdoors. Find some place outside, hook them up, ensure no one can cut into them, because if there's anything, and especially if you leave the house, there's a lot of danger. And if people don't realize, if there's a leak and you turn the lights on, it could cause an explosion.
Really?
Yes. Merely turning the lights on if there's a leak and you don't sense it, and you turn the kitchen light on, it could trigger. So it's better to just keep it out. More wahala for UPPF boss, oral special prosecutor to go after him as expensive cars, huge mansions at Trasako, Chado, and Ada pop up. There's also massive demo to Rock Tema over attempt to appoint Asari Kwesi Darko as TDC boss. There are other stories, but we're going to sew it up here. That's it from my end, sweetie.
Just headlines from the Custodian newspaper. Minority rejects Bagben's selective justice. Bagben didn't follow rights procedure in suspending foreign peace. Dr. Kwadwo Asante, that is CDD boss, and small-scale miners back Mr. Emmanuel Amabua to succeed. These stories and many more in the Custodian newspaper. Pick one for yourself and get into it. Those who join us for the news review this morning, Kofi Tonto is political aide to former Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and we had also Mr. Von D, Member of Parliament for Trifu Atiemokwa. Thank you all so much for joining us. Please stay because sports comes up next on the AM show.